So 7 years ago, I made a video about Janet Hubert and how she was fired from Fresh Prince. And if you don't know who she is, aka you're not black, Janet Hubert was the original Aunt Viv, aka dark skin Aunt Viv, Aunt Viv 1.0 on Will Smith's sitcom The Fresh Prince, which ran for 6 seasons. She played Aunt Viv for the first 3 seasons, and Daphne Maxwell Reid, the wife of Ray from Sister Sister, Tim Reid, played Aunt Viv 2.0, light skin Aunt Viv from seasons 3 through 6. So why is Janet Hubert, aka Aunt Viv 1.0, the dark one, still so mad and pressed about the fact that she got fired? That was over 20 years ago. You were fired for a reason, and seeing as how this is how you're acting now, I can only imagine how you were acting then, and I see why they fired you. So a few years ago, Aunt Viv, aka Janet, went on a little media tour, aka making web videos or whatever, dragging Will Smith and saying how horrible he was, and it just reignited the whole thing from the 90s, where she was fired from the show. At least that's what the story was, for being difficult and wanting it to be the Aunt Viv of Bel Air show, and how she thought she was too good because she was Juilliard trained to be on this little sitcom about a rapper. And basically everybody was just dragging her, saying that she was pressed and she needed to move on, get over it, and get a life and stop being obsessed. And I jumped on the bandwagon. I was dragging her too. And if you're just so classy as fuck as you act like you are, why are you replying in such a manner? Not only does she respond to every little thing that anybody says, which also was a sign of being pressed, and she'll probably respond to this too. Shit, she's so pressed. But you respond in such an immature way, like calling people names, and then you're just on your high horse and sedity as shit, like nobody can tell you anything. And you have the people on your Facebook friends list, which I'm on your Facebook because you say some funny shit. So a few days ago, the Fresh Prince had its 30th anniversary reunion special where Will Smith actually sat down with Janet Hubert for the first time in 27 years, talked about what happened, and basically owned up to what he did. And she was not fired. She was going through a very difficult time in her life. She just had a baby. She was in a horrible marriage. Her husband wasn't working. All this crazy stuff. And Will Smith was being the egomaniac and was basically making it very hard and difficult for her to work. So it became, less enjoyable for her. But she was still professional, doing her job. And they ended up offering her a deal where she would only get like 2 weeks worth of filming in a reduced role. And then the rest of the year, she couldn't even work anywhere else because it was in her contract. So, of course, she didn't take the deal. So she wasn't fired. But she also didn't just walk out. They were trying to diminish her role and give her a crappy deal to where she couldn't even work anywhere else. So they ended up replacing her. And for years, it's just been this whole thing that she's difficult. And he basically ruined her career and her life. Because not only is she being told she's difficult, which is the kiss of death, as she said, for a black woman, especially a dark-skinned black woman in Hollywood. But Will never spoke up. The cast never spoke up. Nobody ever said anything in her defense. And now, all this time later, he's on his little apology tour, probably to take attention away from Jada and her entanglement, trying to make himself look like he's this great person and he did all these things to, give Aunt Viv her flowers and all that. But too little, too late. You waited 3 decades to do this. And yeah, he is admitting he's wrong. He's admitting that she didn't do anything, but it took him too long. And now it's too late, unless he's about to give her roles in his movies. And she was just glad to get some features and to clear her name. But I feel like she was too gracious. She let it slide. And I admit I was wrong too. I mean, I didn't know, of course, what really happened. But I was quick to just assume that Will was right and she was just doing too much, when in reality, I am the Janet Hubert of YouTube. I am. Because when I started on YouTube, I was getting thousands and thousands of views per video, because there were not that many people. I don't think what I was doing was necessarily that great. I mean, yeah, I think I'm entertaining, but I don't think it was amazing. It's just there was not that many people. So I would constantly be in the top 10, top 20, top 30 of, most viewed comedian or most viewed this, whatever, because there wasn't a lot of people. So I was very popular. However, as time went on, of course, I was, burning bridges left and right. And the people that I started with were blowing up, as where I just stopped making videos for a few years. And then whenever I would make a video or whatever, and people would say, well, what happened to you and this person, you and that person? And I would talk about it. People would be like, oh, Bear's just being messy. Bear's starting drama. Bear's doing the most. But in reality, people did me wrong. And I was just trying to tell my story and justify what was going on, but nobody wanted to hear that. It was, no, you're doing too much, you're doing too much. So I get what she's saying now, because even now, years later, people still assume whatever they want to assume about me based on some shit from a decade ago with somebody I fell out with on YouTube. And really, in most of these scenarios, I didn't do shit. But I was blacklisted and blackballed like Janet Hubert was. But that's okay. I don't need anybody to apologize and give me my features or whatever, because I know what I did and what I didn't do. And if people are still pressed about shit that at the end of the day really doesn't fucking matter, that's fine. But I can understand now that I'm older exactly what she was doing. She kept bringing it up because she was trying to tell her story. If people are saying Janet did XYZ, she's going to keep making videos, going to keep going on talk shows, going to keep, doing whatever to try to say, no, this is not what happened, but nobody wanted to listen to it. It's just, oh, you're crazy, or you're doing too much. And that's the same thing people do to me. So I get it now. And I feel bad that I didn't believe her, because you should always believe black women. But Will is a fucking asshole. He's a grade A asshole for that shit. And I think it's really too late to try to do anything. But hopefully she gets her second act, because she couldn't get work because people were thinking, who wants to work with her? And I hope that, hopefully it don't take 27 years, but Oprah, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels apologize to Monique, because people are saying the same thing. Oh, Monique's doing too much. She's just causing drama. When in reality, she's trying to clear her name and just tell her truth. So the three of us need to come together, me, Monique, Janet, and tell our stories. But I digress. Watch the reunion. It's on HBO Max. I think it's also on YouTube. It's really good. I thought it was going to be more so like, getting my kikis or whatever, but it was very emotional. I mean, I'm not a crier, but if I was a crier, I would have cried, because it was very sad. But it was good. I mean, he did right by her, because he could have just ignored her ass and just had the new Aunt Viv, but he did what he needed to do. So I guess a little kudos for him. But I still like Will Smith as an entertainer. And I still like the Fresh Prince, but I do think he's a piece of shit. And so is the cast, because except for maybe Tatiana Ali, because she was a kid, the rest of them, they haven't stuck up for her either. They were too busy trying to worry about their coins. They weren't going to stick their neck out because, as my grandfather used to say, who I think he was born in like 1906, he would always say, most people are cowards. And that's true. Most people are cowards and followers. They go along to get along. They don't want to rock the boat. They just go with the flow because, oh, everybody else is doing this. Okay, I'm going to do it too. I don't want to bring any attention to myself. And that is another reason I think a lot of people have issues with me, because I speak my mind, because I'm not going to let you steamroll me. You're not just going to get me to go along with what the fuck you said, especially if you're doing some fucked up shit to me. I'm going to call you out. And people don't like that. People don't like to be challenged. They want you to just let them do what the fuck they want. And whenever you don't, then you're the problem. But I don't play that shit. You're not about to treat me like I'm Boo Boo the Fool. I'm going to be like, excuse me, I don't think so. And people don't like that. That's confrontational now, because you're not letting people treat you like shit. So it is what it is. That's how I am. I was raised to defend myself and speak up for myself, especially, when people are just doing rude and disrespectful things. Like this woman, I did a U-turn on my block and I stopped before the crosswalk because I saw she was about to walk across with her dog. So I stopped and she fucking flipped me off. And of course I rolled the window down and proceeded to cuss her out, not realizing I had a stocking cap on my head. I forgot I took my hat off. But the point is, people do that kind of stuff because they think that they can get away with it. They think it's fine. And of course she was white, didn't have a mask on. But people think, oh, I can do what I want. I can say what I want. But you're not going to do that to me, because obviously nobody has ever checked you before, but I'm going to be the one to check you. So maybe the next time you think you're going to flip somebody off or say whatever you want, you're going to think, oh, I got cussed the fuck out the last time. Maybe I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, but you're not going to treat me like shit. I'm always going to stand up for myself and for those that can't stand up for themselves. Like if I'm in a store or a restaurant and somebody's being rude as fuck to the waiter or the cashier or whatever, I'm going to stick up for them, because who else is going to? I believe in doing what's right. So if I'm ever on What Would You Do with John Quinones, I'm not going to regret not speaking up, because I always do, because silence is complacency. And on that note, go tweet Janet Hubert. Tell her she's fabulous. Tell her you need her back on TV and that we appreciate her. Aunt Viv 1.0.
Look, there he goes.
But don't disrespect Daphne Maxwell Reid. She was just doing her job. No, her version of Aunt Viv was not as iconic, but she had a job to do. She was there to make her coins. So don't even hate on her, because it's not her fault. Just like y'all hate on light-skinned Claire for My Wife and Kids. And most people don't even think about the fact that Harriet was replaced on Family Matters. They completely dust Harriet #2. But hey, these people got to get their jobs, especially in Black Hollywood, because there ain't a lot of jobs out there. And on that note, I am through.